Absolutely, you do. And, just to give a shout out to Celine Roland, did finish in fourth spot. Robert Stout came home in fifth. Jared Thomas, Todd Lamb, Peter Enzor, Justin Piscatel, and Matthew Dirks rounded out the top 10 in our race earlier today. So usual suspects at the front of this grid as we get ready to do it again.
Speaking of usual subjects, speaking of usual suspects, one driver that we're missing here this weekend, we're missing a few, but one that we're missing this weekend and we missed last weekend in Indianapolis was Drake Kemper, who's been a longtime fixture on the Mazda MX5 Cup season. Brad Little and him are doing a new cool thing out of the West Coast, and unfortunately, Drake just isn't here. They're so busy with their new business venture when it comes to coaching and transporting cars and working with clients. Drake's almost always somewhere every different weekend coaching at a different track with a different car and a different client. We sure do miss him. We wish he was here. Not sure if he's watching. He's probably busy coaching some driver somewhere right now. But Drake is a guy that we missed, and I didn't give a shout-out to him last weekend in Indianapolis, and I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge, we really enjoy having Brad in the paddock this weekend. We miss having Drake on track. But, yeah, it's anybody's game when we get ready to go out here. I will totally go back and admit that I very much miscalled what was going to happen in that first race today. I said no one's going to lead all the laps. No one's going to run away with this thing. And then Gresham Wagner absolutely did that. And he just stomped him for his first win of the season. He starts on pole here again in race number 2, John. It'll be I think it'd be unwise to bet against him. The hopeful in me says it's going to be a close, dramatic race. But, man, after the performance he put on in race 1 this morning, I don't know if you can bet against him.
I would certainly not bet against him. He looked almost unassailable this morning. Michael Carter stayed with him the entire race until the closing stages. We had a couple safety car periods during that race, and that packed the field back up. At every time, Gresham Wagner was able to pull away, and Michael Carter just couldn't match the pace to stay with him on that final run to the checkered flag. Another driver that we're missing here this weekend, Nico Rieger from Slipstream Performance in the 0-1 car. This will be the first race weekend he's missed so far this season. He's 6th in the points leading into this weekend. So Nico, Texas-based driver, as so many drivers. I wonder what it is about Texas. There are so many of these MX Cup drivers from the Texas area.
Everything's bigger in Texas, John, especially the love for good wheel-to-wheel MX5 Cup racing. I don't know, actually. Bashura is from Houston, Texas. Yeah, you talked about Nico, and Rieger's our 2018 Series champion. He's a great story. He took that $200,000 scholarship money that Mazda Motorsports hands over every season, and he and his brother actually converted that into an LMP3 ride in the IMSA Prototype Challenge last season. They didn't have the year they wanted. There's no getting around that, but Rieger really had a lot of fun. That's a big, powerful race car, and you know what? He came back, and not because it's a step back, but because he gets way more bang for his buck racing here than he did in LMP3. Nothing against that prototype program,
sure.
But I'm going to put it to anybody out there to find me a bargain as good as MX5 Cup where you see the wheel-to-wheel racing we typically get here.
Yeah, and another driver that we're missing this weekend, Brandon White in the White Racing number 78. That's one of a couple of the ND1 competitors that we frequently see. Brandon also missing his first race weekend of the season.
And I'm glad you bring up Brandon White. I doubt highly. Drake Kemper did just send me a heart emoji, so he is watching, and we very much appreciate that. But Brandon White, I doubt he's watching the broadcast because he's actually home in northern Colorado with his wife as they are expecting the birth of their child early this coming week, but he wanted to stay home from Mid-Ohio just in case anything happens, and we wish him and his wife the best. His dad, Bruce, who owns White Racing, is here. Luke Oxner, Matt Dirks, Robert Stout, they've all been running really well. Oxner had an electronic problem in race number 1 this morning. They weren't getting that motor to full song, but thanks to the guys at Fliss Performance, Luke was getting assistance in between races. He feels confident the issue has been fixed, and if he and Stout can hook up together, and Matt Dirks as well, who's a rookie in this championship, Dirks is going to roll from 5th again in this thing. Stout starts 6th, and Luke Oxner's 8th. So your White Racing cars are P5, P6, and P8. And it really it could be a good day for them if they can just avoid the bad luck.
John Giesbright also had some problems in the race. Did you get a read on that?
I think it was it really just came down to that spin in turn 10 because both he and I think it was Liam Snyder or no Robillard, both the 98 and John in the 68. I guess that teaches you not to race with a car number that ends in the number 8, because both of those guys had bad luck out there, and they both went for spins over in turn number 10. That was the official word from our PR master, Aaron Seekle, who's over on the other side of the track right now.
Sounds good. Counting down to the green flag, and we are very close as it's almost 3 o'clock, and that's the scheduled time. These drivers will be heading out of the false grid and onto the racetrack behind the pace car to set the stage for this second 50-minute race for the weekend. You guys don't race tomorrow, so just a doubleheader. And then once you leave here, you're coming back in 2 weeks' time with the IMSA.
Well, and I'm really excited about that. I also have the benefit of working with IMSA, so it's going to be a super fun weekend. And again, I think I heard you and Rob talking about it. It's great that we have this race, and the folks in the governor's office here in Ohio, everybody here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the teams, IndyCar, everybody had to work together to make this thing happen. I guess the teams really didn't play much of a role in it. They just benefit from all the hard work that was done. But you see a beautiful shot right there, looking into turns 12 and 13 from turn 1 down the front stretch. And you know what? It's not jam-packed here. It's not packed to the gills like it typically is, but there's fans here, and there's campers here, and there's people grilling and having a great time. Having a great time, and that is really what matters.
I pulled into the worker campground last night when I first arrived here, and I was surprised at just how full it was, and all the workers, the flaggers, and a lot of the teams and whatever camping there. And, there's a great sense of camaraderie and a great sense of comradeship amongst all of those workers, and we thank them for coming out here and volunteering their time for this race weekend and all of our race weekends here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
Absolutely. So as John said, it is the halfway point. This is the start of round 6. It's a 12-round championship. Our season kicked off at Road America. Then we were in Indianapolis just 8 days ago now. It's been a whirlwind couple of weeks between the Road to Indy and MX5 Cup. This is our 4th race weekend in a row. So we've been somewhere, everywhere, each weekend. We have next weekend off. We'll come right back here to Lexington in 2 weeks' time to compete under the IMSA weekend. Then both MX5 Cup and Road to Indy heads to the New Jersey Motorsports Park. MX5 Cup will run rounds 8 and 9 there. Or no, we're running 7 and 8 next weekend. 9 and 10. Man, I'm proving how bad I am at math. And then we'll go to St. Pete and run 11 and 12 there to cap the season off. And that is going to be a topsy-turvy weekend because these cars have not raced on a downtown city street course since Toronto in 2017. And there was a lot of Mazda MX-5 Cup bodywork left in Toronto when we pulled out of that track.
And that was with the ND1 car.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And so this ND2 is a little bit quicker.
Yep.
It gets up and goes a little more. So I think you're going to see some bumping and grinding when we get to St. Pete. But it is going to be a lot of fun. Gresham Wagner, he has been solid here. Michael Carter, as you said, John, starts second. Roland rolls third. He and Noaker are going to be the row to watch, as in row 2 they battled all of race number 1. Dirks rolls 5th again. His teammate from White Racing is Robert Stout. Todd Lamb starts 7th. Oxner is 8th. The scholarship shootout winner, Jared Thomas, is 9th. And Peter Enzer rounds out your top 10 as we get ready to go here.
Field down in Thunder Valley right now as they are beginning to form up 2 by 2. And again, they will be taking the start on the back straightaway. So the official start of the race will be as the leader crosses the finish line, which is right here in front of us. And so that is right now. So the 50-minute countdown or the 45-minute countdown, should we say, has begun. And they will begin to form up as they work their way up toward the keyhole turn and get ready for the starter on the back straightaway.
I like how you work, John. You tried to add us 5 extra minutes because this racing's so good. You just want a little bit more.
You want a little extra,
you
yeah,
just
absolutely.
Want a little bit more, as my man Scotty McCreary says, 5 more minutes. But unfortunately, it's just a 45-minute race here. Gresham Wagner from Spark Performance and Michael Carter from Carter Racing Enterprise slowly bring the field up that long, bumpy front straightaway. They'll make that harking, long right-hander turn number 2, the keyhole, as the kids call it. And then Celine Roland and Robert Noaker keep an eye on row number 2. Folks, if you're watching live online on MX5Cup.com, we welcome you. We wish you were here, but sit back, strap in, and enjoy because it's round number 6 of the 2020 Mazda Global MX5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich Racing. The green flag flies, and we are off and running here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The field stays packed up and paired up 2 by 2 as they head for turn number 4, which enters the madness section. Nobody wants to give an inch right here. They They all stay right next to each other, but it's going to be Wagner showing the rear bumper to Carter. Carter wanted to try to shoehorn his way in right there. Awesome shot as they crest the top of turn number 5, come back down the hill, set up for the right-hander 6, roll on to the inside of Noacre, but Noacre says, hold on, I want third place. He snakes back to the inside in turn number 7. Roll on slips back to 4th, and then right behind them, that's Robert Stout in the Lucas Oil Racing TV number 3 for White Racing. They make their way out of 8 and 9, and into Thunder Valley they go, John.
Todd Lamb right behind them as Luke Oxner and Thomas work their way through turn number 11 as the field still very much single file here as the front 2 have not gotten away. In fact, Noacre up into 3rd spot. He ran 4th most of this morning's race, finally taking over that 3rd spot late in the go. But right now, he is right on the back of Michael Carter.
It was really cool in the tech inspection area right after race 1, and the podiums were complete earlier this morning. You'd find Gresham Wagner and Michael Carter, the pair that finished 1-2 and are now running 1-2. You know, they were just hanging out with each other, debriefing, talking about each other's race, and I love that. And I went up to the two of them, and I you know, we spent about 10, 15 minutes talking. Hey, what happened? What did you like? As now, Celine Roland finds himself battling door-to-door with Robert Stout. That's just to stay inside the top 5 right now. Well, it's for the 5th position, but Noacre has cleared Roland, and then they're door handle to door handle, and look out because Matt Dirks is tucked up right behind the 87 of Celine Roland. Does Dirks decide to pull out and try to make something happen? It looks like he's going to stay wedged in right behind Roland. They make their way down into turn number 4, and yes, Dirks stays in line. Roland's going to benefit from the inside, but man, you can really make the outside work here in turn 4, it looks like, John.
Sure, and Todd Lamb is right there to dive down to the inside of that group as well, as that's kind of about a 6-car clutch trying to work their way through that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place position.
Man, that crane shot in turn 5, if I could take that camera shot home with me and put it in my pocket and take it with me everywhere I go, I absolutely would. I love that shot so much. That is so cool. The field comes down the hill, and now Celine Roland has slipped back behind Robert Stout. It does, in fact, look like. So Roland should be scored in the 5th position when we get back around here. You talk about Jared Thomas and Todd Lamb. They're not far from each other right now. They had a really good go of it in the first race, and you actually called the pass and caught it while I was watching the leaderboard at the start-finish line. Thomas just got around Todd Lamb, come into the finish to get 6th place away from the number 84. And remember, Lamb is no slouch. He scored the round 4 victory just 1 week ago in Indianapolis, so when you get around Todd Lamb, you're getting around last week's winner. You're getting around a car with some speed.
And we've got Robert squared in 3rd and 4th once again.
You got it.
Yeah.
Noacre and Stout, Robert squared. If there was only one more Robert, we could have Robert Pie out there on track. But unfortunately,
that sounds good. Robert Pie sounds good right now.
You know what? That's Robert cubed. I apologize.
Yeah, that would be cubed.
Tree is cubed. I see. Folks are putting
math
it together.
is not your strong suit.
No, math is not my strong suit. But that's okay because we have people in timing and scoring much smarter than me who handle that for us, and God bless them because I cannot announce and count. I run out of fingers very quickly.
Understood.
Another lap in the books here, starting lap number 3. And there's that shot again. There it is. Gresham Wagner leads Michael Carter out of 5 down the hill, getting ready for turn 6. Noacre better watch out because Robert Stout, he's got a bad taste in his mouth. Stout watched Noacre walk away from him during the halfway point of race number 1 earlier this morning. And now that crane guy's just getting fancy. He's catching the dust as they come up out of 7. He's doing too much for me right now. But Celine Roland will start to deal with Todd Lamb here. Lamb runs 6th and has moved up around Matt Dirks, the white racing car, in the number 76. Todd Lamb is working on getting up to Celine Roland, and that would be the fight for a top 5 position here. Lamb, they had a broken subframe yesterday. They were replacing stuff, shocks, putting rear camber in the car. So they have been working on the 84 over at the Atlanta Speedworks trailer a ton. And, just as in any series, at any track, the more you work on it, the better you get, the more speed, the more comfortable the driver gets. And Lamb's running so far his best laps of the weekend, I believe.
Matt Dirks is looking strong right behind him as well, as is Jared Thomas, as that's a close battle for that 6th, 7th, and 8th. Lamb finished 7th in this morning's race, so he's up 1 spot from where he was. And if he could put some pressure on Celine Roland, he might find himself in the top 5. But lots of racing left to go. We are just just about 5.5, coming up on 6 minutes into the 45-minute race. So 39 minutes and some change left to go. A big gaggle of cars starting with Peter Enzor in 10th all the way back. Piscatel, Cuglieri, Giesbright, and Robillard all running in close formation.
Well, and it sounds like, again, I have to thank our PR whiz kid, Aaron Sekel, for hooking me up with some information. It sounds like that Justin Piscatel is in a backup car. They said something was just really, really wrong during testing back on Thursday, and they just worked on it. They worked on it. They couldn't figure it out, so they put him in the backup car, and he was 2 seconds quicker than what he was doing in testing. So I agree with that diagnosis. Something was quite wrong. What it was doesn't matter now because Piscatel got in that backup car. He's running 11th right now, right on the edge of cracking the top 10 and then going to work from there. But it's good to see that they brought that backup car. They threw him in it, and whatever the issue is on the primary, they can work on that later. He's rolling really good lap times right now. And I'll tell you this, John, I think this race already is a little bit higher in the action than the first one was. And you can chalk that up to me because I saw the drivers after race when I said, guys, and I went to Gresham Wagner and Michael Carter specifically. I said, guys, that wasn't very exciting. That wasn't very MX5 Cup-ish. I said, can you guys spice it up a little bit?
Turn up the wick.
I think they passed the message around to the garage area, and we're seeing better racing right now.
Yeah, got some side-by-side racing back for about 6th or 7th right now.
That's Matt Dirks working on the 96 of Jared Thomas. They're racing for 7th and 8th right now, and there's that larger gaggle of cars that you were talking about. You know, that's a great shot right there. You really realize that turn 2, you come down a hill while you've got steering into the car in turn 2, and that's just another thing that makes that corner one of the very technical corners on this racetrack.
Fanning out 3 wide for 4th place as they come down into turn number 4. No change for position as Stout able to hang on to it. And once again, Noacre has caught the top 2. We got a 3-way battle brewing at the front.
Yep.
And then a little bit of a gap back to Robert Stout, and he's got Celine Roland right on his back bumper.
That was Todd Lamb who was fanning out 3 wide as they came down to the end of the back straightaway to take a look on the inside of Celine Roland, who was on the inside shade of Robert Stout. They've kind of stretched back out a little bit here, but unfortunately, Lamb not able to make something happen there. Lamb's a smart guy. He knows that throwing it 3 wide into madness probably isn't the go-to move.
Yep.
Here, 5 laps in. Now give him what, 35, 34 minutes, and maybe we'll see a different attitude. But these top 10 right here are staying much more grouped up. You brought up a great point in the first race, John, about tire management. You know, I went and asked these guys, you know, the tires aren't as hard as maybe I was making it out to be. There is a good bit of tire conservation that goes into these MX5 Cup races. 45 minutes on this track. You know, these aren't the most high downforce, high power cars. They're not shoving their tires into the track.
Yep.
But the fact is, they are sliding out of corners. They're getting on the brakes for 45 minutes here. You have to do what you can to keep the tire alive, and that's where you see some drop-off.
Yeah, Todd Lamb coming under pressure from Jared Thomas as Matthew Dirks trying to follow Lamb through as Thomas goes around the high side of the keyhole turn looking for that spot. He and Lamb are side by side.
That's Jared Thomas, it looks like, in the Soul Red, number 96, and Matt Dirks in the 76. They were door handle to door handle. Let's see how they sort themselves out. That's for 7th position, right behind Todd Lamb. Thomas looks like he's going to hold him off getting into turn number 7, but he carries just a tick too much speed. I'm sorry, 4 out of 4, and that's going to allow Dirks to stay right on his rear bumper. And then behind Dirks is his teammate from White Racing, Luke Oxner, who feels much better about his number 77 entry after they hopefully found the long-term fix to some electronic problems inside the behind the firewall of that car. And right now he looks really good. He's hanging right onto the back bumper of Dirks. They're reeling in the top 5. This could be a much better go for White Racing because their other driver, Robert Stout, is comfortably in the 4th position right now.
I wouldn't call it comfortable because Celine Roland is coming. He is all over the back of Stout's car.
That's true.
Looking for a way around as he comes onto the front straightaway now.
Yeah, comfortable probably is a bit of a stretch, but he's in the top 5, which is the best run he's had so far today. He didn't probably he finished 5th in race number 1, but I don't think anybody on his car was happy with that race because Noacre just drove away and left him. So Stout looks much better here in this one. Noacre, as you said, is moving up to catch those top 2 guys in front of him. Here they come into the keyhole. Man, you can barely see Michael Carter as they come into the braking zone. He's that tight behind Gresham Wagner. Luke Oxner trying to find a way around his teammate. Dirks is the black and green car. Oxner is the black and orange car as they make their way out of 2 down the back straightaway, heading for turn number 4. You wonder if there's going to be any team orders. Hey, let's work together, let's draft, let's reel in these guys in front of us and go to work. I think that would be a wise decision.
Robillard, Hickson, and Bukura also running in a close formation. That's for 14th, 15th, and 16th. As the leaders crest the hill at turn 5, and your favorite camera shot once again.
I love it. And it really gives a definition of how steep and banked that complex of corners is, but it shows you these MX5 Cup cars, the bodies are rolling. That's a great shot right there as the car sits down hard on the right side, BF Goodrich's, as they make that left-hand corner. We're very fortunate with IMS Productions to have these cameras here, and thanks to the guys at Pro Racing Group for streaming this, but you know, the camera operators are the real heroes because they're out there. A lot of these are lockdown cameras. That's why they're not moving. But, man, my homeboy on the crane camera, he is bringing us some golden footage right now. And now Roland, speaking of good footage, he is starting to give Robert Stout fits in that rearview mirror. They come across the start-finish line now. There's Stout in the 4th position. Celine Roland is right behind him in 5th. Meanwhile, Michael Carter lays down the quickest lap of the race so far, minute 37.10, and that's just 0.04 of a second quicker, John, than Gresham Wagner, who he's chasing down.
Top 3 pretty much evenly spaced as they make their way through the entrance to the carousel. And now Roland side by side with Stout as he dives down to the inside on the keyhole turn. As they come out the exit, they are still side by side.
Wow, look at that. They are side by side, door to door, as they run down this long, arcing back straightaway leading to turn number 4. A little bit of dust getting kicked up just behind them. Who is going to give? Because we've said it doesn't kill you to be on the outside once the green flag flies. Stout's just going to back out of it. He knows that he has a better chance at going after Roland a little bit later on. And all that side-by-side racing just through turn 2 and down the backstretch, look at the gap that allowed to shrink between Roland and Stout, and then Todd Lamb, Jared Thomas, and Matt Dirks. They are right there behind these top 5 now.
Yeah, that battle just behind between Lamb and Thomas and Dirks and Oxner has kind of broken into two by two as Dirks and Oxner have fallen back just a little bit, but Lamb and Thomas nose to tail. In fact, Jared Thomas looking a little racy here as they dive down into the low part of Thunder Valley looking for a way around.
And just as we saw in race 1, as soon as a pack of cars start racing each other, that either allows the guys in front of them to get away, and more importantly, it allows the cars behind them to reel each other in. And so as Celine Roland and Robert Stout have already found out, you can't spend too much time side by side here because that's what allowed Lamb and Jared Thomas to catch up. And then the white racing cars of Dirks and Oxner, they're hoping for the same effect of, hey, Lamb's going to start racing with Thomas, and Thomas is going to fight him, and they're going to slow down because that's what happens when you go 2 by 2. And hopefully that's what Dirks and Oxner are hoping is, hey, we can reel those guys in and really give them a run for their money here.
Just got a note from one of the corner marshals. I didn't get a car number, but they said one of the cars is showing a little bit of smoke out of the tailpipe. So we'll try to get an ID on that.
As the field makes their way out of 2, Celine Roland, Robert Stout, fighting to stay inside the top 5. Todd Lamb wants to get aggressive, but Lamb's got to be smart. He's got the young Jared Thomas right behind him. And Michael Carter learned his lesson in race number 1. He is not going to let anybody get away from him. And Carter owned up to it after race number 1. He said, hey, I made mistakes in the last 10 minutes. I allowed Gresham Wagner. And again, he also said, I just think Gresham drove a better race for me. That's a direct quote that Michael Carter told me. He said, I think Gresham just drove the car better. But he also owned up and said, you know, I made silly mistakes in the last 10 minutes, and that's why we saw that gap grow a little bit. So I think Carter is locked in. He is going to not lose sight of that rear bumper plate on the number 5 from Spark Performance. And again, I probably should quit promising exciting finishes or this to happen or that to happen, but I think Carter's got a lot more loaded up and ready to take to the fight when it gets down to the last couple minutes of this thing.
The car that they're talking about perhaps showing a little smoke is Robert Stout, as it turns out, as Roland still able to hold him off. And then Todd Lamb, as they came down into turn 4 a lap ago, popped out to try to make it 3 wide once again. So Lamb, the veteran, is trying to find a way up into that top 4.
4th, 5th, and 6th is just a really, really good pack right now. Celine Roland, Robert Stout, you hope, whatever the issue is, with smoke possibly showing on the 3, you hope it's nothing serious, maybe just a slight body rub. Obviously, you really hope it's nothing internal. And the white racing cars, they need to remember their teammates as Oxner and Dirks are having a good go of it. But you know what? They are, you can visibly see it, John, they're visibly reeling in that pack in front of them, which is made up of Thomas Lamb, Stout, and Roland. and this is crazy. You hope they work together. You hope they line up and draft with each other. Robert Stout says, nah, man, forget that. I'm looking on the inside heading into 4. Doesn't really commit to it, just takes a look, because there's your lead 3 right there. That's your podium. If they just stay as they are and nobody gets too crazy, that's your podium. They can sort out how they stand on the podium later, but there's your top 3. Roland, Stout, Lamb, Dirks, those guys have got to put their heads down and go get them.
Yeah, they're some 3.5 seconds back, which is an eternity in this class of racing, as these cars are so evenly matched.
Yes, and that's a great point. We should give an acknowledgement to the constructor of these cars, Fliss Performance out of Daytona Beach, Florida. Todd Fliss and his team took over for Glenn Long and Long Road Racing. Long Road Racing built these cars for many, many years, and Todd and his team stepped up and accepted that responsibility, and they've done phenomenal with it. For example, there was an overheating issue with a lot of these MX5 Cup cars back at Road America at the beginning of the season as Jared Thomas starts to take a look to the inside of Todd Lamb. But you know what? Drivers complained about it. They were pushing water. They were spiking temperatures. They were on the verge of blowing up engines. And you know what? Todd and his guys went back to Daytona Beach. They developed a system. They took care of it. They're not pushing water out of these cars anymore. And we're having close competitive races. And a big problem was, if you got behind a guy for too long, there's no air getting to the radiator, obviously. Well, that's a problem in MX5 Cup racing, because these drivers spend a lot of time running nose to tail, getting ready to make passes in the corners, so they couldn't have that. Well, Todd and his guys worked really hard, really quickly, and they developed something, and these cars aren't pushing water anymore. They're not blowing up, and so I think that's a sign of a really good constructor. They don't just say, hey, here's your car, don't blow it up, go race it, let us know how it goes. No, they said, what problems are you having? Let's work on it, let's fix it, let's get it where it needs to go. So Fliss Performance, the new constructor this season of the MX5 Cup car, both the ND2, they're doing conversion kits for the ND1, and Todd and his group are just, they're top-notch guys.
That big battle between Roland, Stout, Lamb, and Thomas for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, as they keep hammering on each other, that's opened the door for the teammates, Dirks and Oxner, as they are closing up, about to make it a 6-car battle for 4th spot.
Yep, and that's exactly what we talked about possibly happening. The more time you spend racing the cars in front of you or right behind you, that's just going to slow you down. You're not hitting your marks. You're having to share the track. You're not able to exit as wide. When you race in a pack, you can't go as quick together, unfortunately, as you can when you're by yourself, especially here. This isn't Road America where there's miles of straightaway and you need all that drafting help. Mid-Ohio's got a long back straightaway, but you spend so much time in the corners here that if you miss even a little bit, you're going to give up a 1/10 of a second here, a 1/10 of a second there. And the next thing you know, you're a 1/2 second slower than you were the lap before, all because you're dodging with the guy. So the front 3 are doing great right now. Wagner, Carter, and Noaker, they're just biding their time and saying, hey, let's get inside of 10 minutes to go, and then we can start racing each other. But, hey, if you're behind them, I get it. Why bide your time? Why wait? Get around the guy, try to pass him, then go up and chase him down. So there's all kinds of different strategies in these drivers' heads right now.
Exactly right. As we're working our way into lap number 12, time on the clock is 25 minutes to go, so not quite to half distance, as we will be probably at the end of this lap. But Jared Thomas was side by side with Todd Lamb down into the braking zone for turn 4, as Robert Noaker kind of fallen off the back of the lead 2 a little bit.
Yeah, he was. Todd Lamb and Jared Thomas were right by each other coming down into turn number 4. There go your leaders. What is that, turn 8 right there?
Turn
That's
8
out of turn 8. And then it looks like Lamb was able to not complete the pass around Jared Thomas. So Jared Thomas still holds on to that spot. There you go right there. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And the white racing cars have definitely caught this pack. So add Matt Dirks and Luke Oxner to the fight. So 4th through 9th, all running nose to tail right here. And Celine Roland, John is looking in his mirrors, sees that big pack of cars behind him, and I think there's a little bit of optimism, like, all right, great, these guys are going to start battling each other, but there's also a lot of nerves, because if you make a mistake now, you don't just get passed by one car, you get passed by all of them.
So Jared Thomas making that stick as he moves from 7th to 6th, putting Todd Lamb now into the clutches of Matt Dirks and Luke Oxner. As those two looking racy,
Here
as
we
they
go.
fan out 3 wide into the keyhole once again.
Stout looking to the inside on Roland. Stout throws it down. There's a little bit of contact. Boy, between race 1 with Noaker and race 2 here with Robert Stout, Roland probably feels like a ping pong ball out there right now. Robert Stout gets around the Celine Roland in the keyhole, so moves Stout from P5 up to P4. And right there, that's going to open up Pandora's box. Roland's looking low. Now he's looking high. He's going to come back. Jared Thomas wants to come along for the ride as well. Todd Lamb, Dirksen Oxeter all take the action in from just behind them. They come out of 5, setting up down the hill for 6. Boy, look at that. Little bit of rubbing is racing right there, if I do say so myself. Celine Roland put just the tiniest bit of that right front fender on Robert Stout's left rear. But you know what? No harm, no foul. They keep pointed in the right direction. They stay on the gray stuff, and they keep moving forward.
Exactly. Roland and Noacre had a similar battle right in that section of the race course in race number 1. So different drivers, but the same kind of racing going on, as this battle for 4th is a dandy.
Yeah, it absolutely is. This is the MX5 Cup racing we're a lot more used to seeing here. And folks, if you're at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, first of all, congratulations on getting out here this weekend. You made a good decision. But if you've never taken in Mazda MX5 Cup racing, I really hope you're on the fence line or you're near a Jumbotron and able to see this, because we do this every weekend, 6 weekends a year, and it's an extremely competitive and yet affordable series to get into. We've got guys and girls making their debut all the time. It's for car lovers, it's for racers, it's for SCCA, it's for professionals, it's for novices, it's for anybody. And now Celine Roland says, you know what, 4th place is for me, because he's trying to go around the outside of Robert Stout. How do they shake out when they exit the keyhole from turn 2 down the back straightaway? No, Stout's still able to hold on to the spot, but now Roland needs to be careful because he's opened the door up and Jared Thomas is ready to step on through to the other side. That's song lyrics for you right there as they come down the back straightaway into turn number 4. Thomas has gotten around Celine Roland. Todd Lamb is trying to come along for the ride as well. Through 4, they'll head up to 5. Stout in 4th. Jared Thomas now up to 5th. And it's going to be Todd Lamb getting around to P6. Oh, Stout just locked up that left front, or right front, just a tiny bit. As they come out, they'll set up for turn number 8, and Celine Roland, just like that. What did I say? If you open the door once, you don't just get passed by one car in a pack like this, you get passed by all of them.
Indeed. So Celine Roland, who was running 4th just a little while ago, finds himself back in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position as he has been shuffled back to the back of this group.
And the front 3, they don't know any of this is going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Gretchen Wagner and Michael Carter are just like, where are you guys? What's going on back there? Because they come across the start-finish line to click off lap number 14 here at Mid-O. But, man, right there, that's a hornet's nest. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then here comes to round out your top 10, Justin Piscatel in the number 9. But this is good stuff right here.
Yeah, Thomas really gets a great run down the front straightaway and through turn number 1. He is right on the back of Robert Stout as they climb the hill. In fact, Stout feels that pressure as he's running to the inside, as Thomas going to try to go around the outside this time. Can't quite get it done, but Todd Lamb and Celine Roland side by side.
Yeah, Roland, I don't feel like has the car underneath him that he probably really wants right now. There's been complaints of handling issues up and down the garage area all weekend, but then again, you're always going to complain about handling if you're not up front leading. But this place is just tricky to set up for. You know, that's what makes Mid-Ohio so much fun, is it's not some cookie cutter that you can just show up and throw a setup out of the notebook at it. You know, you got to work on it every session when you come here, not just every weekend, every session. This track and these cars change. Jared Thomas knows that. He's a rookie, but he is driving like a guy that has a lot more experience here at Mid-Ohio. But we've seen that story before. Robert Noacre here 2 years ago, he was a rookie in the Global MX5 Cup, and he scored his first ever win. Jared Thomas, I just don't know if right now he's close enough. They need something to group everybody back up. They need a full course yellow of some kind to give those guys a shot. But Jared told me after race number 1, he said, you know, we have a good car. And he goes, if we can keep up with them, Thomas said, I fully expect a battle for a podium. He even speculated that he had a car that could win. Unfortunately, the first part of that goal, keep the front 3 in front of you, well, that hasn't really happened for those guys. But Thomas podiumed in his debut weekend at Road America. He looked really good at Indianapolis. And to be up there battling right now with guys like Todd Lamb, Celine Roland, Robert Stout, guys all who have so many years in this series, you really have to sit up and notice what Jared Thomas is doing, because the kid can drive, and we're learning that right now.
He's the highest placed rookie in your point standings, running 5th right now for Carter Racing Enterprises, and he's got a 2nd place finish already this year.
And that's going to be $75,000 if he can keep that top spot in Rookie of the Year standings. Todd Lamb and Celine Roland continue to try to sort out who is going to hold on to that 6th position. Stout's in 4th, the 96 is in 5th. Lamb currently holds P6. Celine Roland, man, he's looking everywhere, just trying to make something happen. Let's see if he takes another look here down the end of the back straightaway into turn number 4. No, Celine Roland stays right in line, and I'm kind of surprised that Dirks and Ochsner haven't gotten more involved in this fight right now, because as much as Lamb and Roland have ran side by side, it's a little surprising that the white racing cars are not getting up in the middle of this as well.
Yeah, Thomas is forcing Robert Stout to go a little defensive, especially at the end of the long back straightaway, and that is at some point may come back to haunt him, because if he scrubs off too much speed or compromises his exit too much, he's going to open the door for somebody to get alongside coming up into 5.
Well, and we talked about that in race number 1. It's a great strategy if you want to make your one definitive move, drive down low on corner entry. Nobody's going to get down to the inside when you're on the white line, but it kills your exit speed. And I just think out of everything we've got racing here this week, an IndyCar, Road to Indy, MX5 Cup, there is not a more momentum-driven category than these cars. And
absolutely.
You know what? Yeah, these things aren't big, huge V8s with 800 horsepower. You have to keep these things wound up all the way around the track. But in my biased opinion, that's what makes this a driver's series.
Sure.
Anybody can stand on a throttle. Anybody can spin the rear tires and take off out of a bad corner. But when you have to have so much finesse and you have to be so quiet on the steering wheel with your hands, that is what makes MX5 Cup drivers, in my opinion, really good drivers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's fantastic racing. You couldn't ask for better. And like I say, this battle for 4th has just been wonderful all race long, as we've had lots of evolution of drivers running at the front and then falling back a couple spots and then recovering. And, Dirks and Ochsner have caught this pack and now make it like a 6-way battle.
Yeah. And Stout right now has got his hands full with Jared Thomas. There go your front 3 once again. Carter is just waiting, and I think he's definitely aware of what happened. Man, that is smoke, as your corner worker reported. You do see a little bit of smoke coming out of the number 3 car. We had this shot a little while ago. I thought perhaps maybe he locked up the right front. No, that would be the left front, and it'd be kind of confusing why he'd be locking up the tire on corner exit. So I don't think that smoke originally was from the tire or the brakes. He is spitting a little bit of smoke out of that number 3 car.
Yeah, and it's only showing up on left-hand turns or right-hand turns, so it could be just some oil sloshing around in the sump that's getting onto the exhaust pipe. But again, we'll just have to wait. It doesn't appear to have compromised his speed at all, as he's certainly turning competitive lap times, running the same pace, almost the same pace as the leaders.
No, and another really nice part about this series being sanctioned by IndyCar is, as I mentioned in race 1, you have IndyCar Race Control presiding over this race, and a big thing they do is they scan all the team's radios, and if someone is complaining of a car in front of them spitting oil or laying down fluid, IndyCar looks into it immediately. They get in touch with the corner marshals around the track, and they get a report on it, and that's not allowed, obviously for safety reasons, number 1, but also it's going to affect everybody's performance sooner or later. So if nobody on the track has complained about the smoke out of the 3, it must be pretty minute. Thomas obviously would have a windshield full of oil right now if there was a real problem. So the good news is, whatever the smoke is on Stout, either it's not a serious problem or it's a very small version of a serious problem. And as we see just over 16 minutes to go, 16 minutes left right now, hopefully whatever the issue is, that car can hold together. But as announcers and the announcer curse, we probably should just stop talking about it, don't you think?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because the next thing you know, you're going to look up and the 3 car is going to be parked. So we're really hoping that doesn't happen. We're going to focus on the front 3 right now. Gresham Wagner, Michael Carter, and Robert Noaker they've been deadly consistent this race. And I just don't know what Carter's got for Wagner.
And, if you like a 6-way battle for 4th place, give it another couple laps. It's going to be a 7, because Justin Piscatel is closing down on that group. On his last lap, he was almost a half a second quicker. And Piscatel in that white Maverick racing machine is coming, and he's going to make it a 7-way battle.
It's really cool what Shea Holbrook and everybody over at Maverick have done with getting cars on track and being at these events and competing. And, Shea has been at every race. And if you're not familiar with Shea Holbrook, folks, you need to learn a little bit more about her. She's got a long career, extensively in sports car racing. And at the end of the day, this may be an IndyCar weekend. Boy, Roland dusting the track. coming up to turn number 2. And now Lamb takes a look to the inside of Jared Thomas. Lamb wants to take a spot away from the young man in the number 96. That's for the 5th position. Lamb says, don't mind if I do. Celine Roland's trying to pick, who do I work with here? Who do I draft with going down the straightaway? Celine doesn't seem to want to work with Todd Lamb. He got his fill of that. He wants to line up behind the 96. They come down the back straightaway. And also joining that fight is the green and black car of Matt Dirks. They're 2 by 2 down the back straightaway. They finally start to sort themselves out here enough to make it through 4, 5, and 6. It's going to be Robert Stout now with a good little cushion. Jared Thomas, Celine Roland slots in to the 6th position. Todd Lamb drops back to 7th. Matt Dirks and Luke Oxner, those two just threw their hands in there for a minute and said, water's still a little cold. You guys keep warming it up for us.
Yeah, Oxner almost got around his teammate, but then fell back in single file to keep this happening. And here comes Piscatell continuing to close that gap.
But as I was saying about Piscatella and Maverick, Shea Holbrook and that team have done a really cool job at coming out, and they support the series. And I don't just mean they send cars or drivers. Shea is at every event, and a lot of guys from that team are down
and she's
here.
A new mom too.
Exactly,
so,
and she was walking around with the stroller at Indianapolis, and it's really cool to see Shea here. I asked her at Road America, are there plans for you to get behind the wheel of a car? We'd love to see that. And you could probably tell that she wanted to say, yeah, so would I. But she gave the political, well, we're working on it, and we're going to see what happens. And but it's really cool to have people like Shea in this paddock. And while this is an IndyCar weekend, these are sports cars at the end of the day, an MX5 Cup Roadster. So Shea knows her fill about those cars. And to see her involved with Maverick this season is really cool, and we're glad she's here.
All the battling between Thomas, Roland, and Lamb has opened the door for Robert Stout to get away a little bit. He's opened up about a 1-second gap on that group. I don't think he's got anything for our top 3 with only 15 minutes or 13 minutes remaining in this race. But if the other guys just stop racing each other and hook up in a draft, they can run him back down again.
And that's all. I mean, it's so easy for us to say, sitting in the booth, oh, if you guys would just work together.
Big smoke out of
Man, I feel like that looks like a tire rub or something, don't you think?
Yeah, I do too.
The way, and it's in corners only is where we really seem to see it. So it's when the front tires are moving around and hitting plastic bodywork. So there must be some kind of tire rub on the 3 of Robert Stout. That's my only guess.
Right.
I mean, if it were oil, you'd see it right here on the straightaway. You'd see a stream of smoke coming out. Even if light, you'd see something. But, I mean, obviously a tire rub isn't good, but at least he's not burning oil.
Correct.
That's the best news for Stout. There go your front 3. And Carter will not let Gresham Wagner get away. And Carter, 0.2 of a second quicker last time than race leader Gresham Wagner. Michael Carter just clicks off a minute 37.2986. Wagner, a minute 37.464. The difference on the monitors is 0.1 of a second, but that's only judged right at the start-finish line, right out of turn 13. There's parts of this track, John, where the gap is half of that, maybe even more, because Carter is just glued to the back of the 5 right now.
And Robert Noaker, I think, is just laying in the weeds. He's back about 3 car lengths from that battle at the front, but I think he's just laying in the weeds until we get a little closer to the end, and then I think he's going to click off some laps. As Jared Thomas looking racy, he's caught Robert Stout just as we thought Stout was going to get away. Thomas is right on his back bumper.
Yeah, we thought Stout was kind of cruising to a 4th place finish all by his lonesome, but Jared Thomas says, I'm not so sure about that. 5th is good, but 4th is even a little bit better. So Jared Thomas is caught up to Robert Stout. Here they come out of turn 4, rolling over the top of turn 5 down the hill, and then behind him you see Celine Roland and Todd Lamb, Dirks, Oxner, and Piscatell, your top 10. All but the front 3. Everybody is just jammed up right here, having a really good go of it. We're going to come down to see 9 minutes to go here. 20 green flag laps have already eclipsed, and this one is obviously a little bit higher in the intensity than the first race earlier this morning.
Yeah, Piscatell has come from a long way back to run this group down, and he hasn't had the benefit of the draft. He's done that all by himself. So I think he's got some surprising pace here. I'll be curious to see if he can work his way around some of these guys.
That's Piscatell?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that's far off. I think with that backup car, they've got him in that number 9. He's obviously rolling and he feels confident compared to where they were with testing. He's got Luke Oxner who's right in front of him, and I joked on qualifying day yesterday, if it weren't for bad luck, Luke Oxner would have no luck. The car's holding together. They're doing better now than they were in race number 1. As he's going to pull out to the inside, is that on his teammate? He takes a look, but thinks better of it, knows that he's not close enough. And now Oxner kind of ends up in a hot seat because he has Piscatell right behind him, and he's got his teammate Matt Dirks right in front of him. So Oxner can't really be too terribly aggressive here, because if he misjudges, doesn't complete the pass around Dirks, boom, you've got Piscatell right there ready to make something happen.
Oxner's right in the middle of the track. In fact, he's drifting over to the left in order to guard that inside line. And here comes Piscatell thinking about trying to go side by side, but then falls back in single file. But Piscatell all over the back of Luke Oxner, and that's allowing Dirks to get away just a little bit.
You know, I think it's really cool about these MX5 Cup cars, and when we had that crane shot a little while ago at the start, you know, we had a really good look at them rolling through, I guess, what would that be, turn 7, and you saw the body roll, which there's a lot of it in these cars. And I stood over along the front stretch during IndyCar qualifying, and, you know, those guys have to tiptoe through 12 and 13 because, you know, there's so much of that undulation we talked about. It's very slippery. There's all kinds of different stuff down on the pavement where, you know, they have so much power. They have to really be careful and get through there, and then they can get on the power. But these MX5 Cup cars, they're throwing it in there, and they're getting through 12, and they're setting up for 13, and they're already on the power by the apex of turn 13, and that is key. You can't really pussyfoot it in these cars. You have to be on it 100% of the time because these things don't have a gear you can just bump down to and stand on the throttle and get out of a mistake you made. You have to be on the edge constantly, on the car, on the tire, all of it. You have to be running on the ragged edge.
It's all about momentum. It's all about getting the car up to speed and keeping it there. And any little bobble, any little mistake is just going to be very, very costly.
It really is. And Robert Stout was going to know that more than anybody right now because he has to keep this whole field behind him. Stout, your 2017 Global MX5 Cup Rookie of the Year. He took that $75,000 to a second season with McCumbee-McAleer Racing in 2018. And then he's won here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as recent as last season when he won the second race of the doubleheader back here. He split that with Robert Noaker. So that was a Robert squared weekend when we came here last summer, obviously on a different weekend, weather very different. But boy, Stout knows this track. He's with a new team this season, White Racing. I think they're still figuring out where he likes that car, how he and the team work together. Robert's dad, Ken, is up on the stand spotting for Robert around the track as he leads a big pack of cars behind him right now. Stout's got Thomas, Roland, Lamb, Dirks, Oxner, and Piscatell all lined up, ready to make a move.
Coming up on about 7 minutes remaining in this race as our leaders already by start finish. No change there. Noaker kind of gradually losing touch with the top two. If he's laying in the weeds, he better come out of the weeds pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He's going to find himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in no danger of losing third spot because this battle is way up the road, almost 13 seconds up the road from the battle for the lead.
Yeah, you don't want to get into too tall of weeds. That's always a problem because they're
right.
harder to get out of that way. Stout way down on the inside, heading to turn number 2. And as Lamb and Roland faded out, I didn't even know that he had Jared Thomas. That's such a cool camera angle because if you're smart and you stay right behind a guy, you know, they won't even see you until you get to corner entry there in turn number 2. The top 3 head down the back straightaway and off into turn number 4. Still Wagner, still Carter, still Noaker. No change up there. Here comes the 4th, 5th, and 6th battle on down the back straightaway, getting ready for turn 4. And Stout's living on the bottom. He knows he has to right now. He keeps Jared Thomas and Celine Roland right in his rear view mirror. And then as he looks out of his side views, he can see drivers like Matt Dirks, Luke Oxner, and Justin Piscatell. Lap times still very competitive this late in the race, which tells you that these drivers are doing a good job at nursing a lot of life out of their tire, but also knowing when to use the tire, where on the track, and what to do with it when you get there. Minute 37.4 for Wagner. Minute 37.4 for Carter. Minute 37.2 for Robert Noaker. So I think he's listening to you, John. He knows he's got to get out of the weeds.
Yep, exactly right. The battle for 4th and back works its way through turn 11 down into the carousel turn as they sweep their way around the carousel. No changes in position for the past several laps, but it's getting to crunch time now as we're coming up on 5 minutes remaining in this race. As this battle comes across the stripe, to complete race lap number 24.
And I'm not going to speculate on how much time is left and how many laps to go because I got caught with my pants down several times doing that yesterday. But I've stood up. I'm keeping an eye on our chief starter. That's Aaron Likens. He's IndyCar's newest chief starter, and he will be ready to show these drivers the white flag. He may even give them a courtesy 2 to go when they get around. We'll see. But inside of 5 minutes to go right now, there is not a lot of time left in this one, and I think these crew chiefs are going to be on their radio telling drivers like Jared Thomas, Lean Roland, Todd Lamb in this 4th, 5th, 6th battle, and then Michael Carter and Robert Noaker up at the front. Guys, go. It's time to go. We're near the end of this thing as they come out of the madness section and make their way towards Thunder Valley. Hats off to Carter, because if nothing else, he has not let Gresham Wagner get away.
Exactly right. The top 3 in the same position they were from this morning's race, and we're going to see if that's going to stay that way. If anything, Michael Carter looking a little racier here at the end. If you'll remember, in this morning's race, Gresham Wagner kind of got away at the end, last couple of laps of this race, and now he is right on the ragged edge as he comes through turn 11, drops a wheel in the dirt. That puts Michael Carter on his bumper as they come through the carousel turn, and as those two fight it, here comes Robert Noaker, your points leader, to make it a 3-way battle as they cross the line to complete race lap 25. We've got just about 4 minutes remaining in this race. Carter right on the bumper of our leader as we wait for the 4th place battle to come back into view. And once again, Robert Stout holding off the challenge from Jared Thomas, the rookie sensation, as they come through turn number 1. And then Celine Roland, then Todd Lamb, then Matt Dirks, then Luke Oxner, and then Justin Piscatel, all in a bunch.
So the official word from PR whiz kid Aaron Sequel, or Red as I like to call her, 3 laps to go at the line, which they just came across. So we are about 2.5 laps to go in this one. They will see the sticks this time by, signifying 2 laps remaining, 25 laps down. They'll see 2 to go this time by. And I think things are about to pick up at the front of the field. Gresham Wagner, he gets the same information as everybody else. And when he hears 2 to go, he's going to know that both Carter and Noaker are coming. And I'll tell you this, Noaker, don't count him out. Last time by, minute 37 flat. Carter, minute 37.1, and leader Gresham Wagner, minute 37.3. Noaker is showing he is wise beyond his years. They pit with Copeland when that team shows up to the track, but it is all prepped by Robert, his family, and his personal crew guys. Magnus and Big Bob, they do a great job on that car. Copeland not here this weekend. We sure wish they were, but Noaker is turning up the heat as they come down to see 2 to go this time.
Across the stripe they come. If anything, Gresham Wagner's car looks a little more out of control, just a little wilder at the rear end. Carter's car seems to be on rails, and Noaker just there to pick up the pieces as they come through turn 1 and begin the climb up the hill toward the keyhole. We should see the white flag next time by.
And once again, Noaker quicker still than Carter and Wagner, not by as big of a margin. Carter was a minute 37.4. Wagner was a minute 37.38. Noaker a minute 37.36. It's only 0.02 of a second, but every little bit counts as they make their way down the back straightaway. This looks like the top 3. Here we go into 4. Carter, he's got the car, I think, to challenge Gresham Wagner, but it's a lot more than just having a fast car. It's having the confidence. It's having the willingness. It's having everything mentally you need to have to go out there and do it. And remember, Carter can't just go attack, attack, attack. He's got Robert Noaker breathing down his neck. If I'm anybody in this top 3, I want to be Noaker, because if Carter makes a mistake, boom, I'm right by for second. If Wagner makes a mistake, maybe it slows down Carter, and if I'm Robert Noaker, boom, I go right by for the top spot. They're coming to see the white flag this time.
And that usually means if there's anybody been holding anything in reserve, now is about the time to show their cards, as the saying goes, as they make their way into the carousel for the penultimate time. Next time it will be to the checkers as they come to the white flag, about equally spaced as they exit the carousel turn and see the white flag coming across the stripe.
27 laps down. Gresham Wagner has led every single one of them, but Michael Carter knows that it only matters if you lead the final lap coming out of that 13th corner as the white flag is displayed over Stout, Jared Thomas, Celine Roland. That 4th, 5th, and 6th battle, it's been a good one. It's been an exciting one. But up front, Gresham Wagner, Michael Carter, and Robert Noaker make their way out of the keyhole, down the back straightaway. This is it. Look at Carter. He's looking for any opportunity, and Noaker is there.
Yep. And Gresham Wagner guarding that inside line. He doesn't want to give it up, but that could definitely cost him, as he could lose some exit speed coming out of turn 4. Here they come, fanning out, almost 3 wide.
Oh, Carter went to the outside to try to make something happen on Wagner, and that allowed Noaker. But Carter rolls the exit speed. They're 2 wide for the race lead. Carter takes the top spot through 5. They're 3 wide for the race lead. They all make contact, but they keep pointing in the right direction. Carter comes out of it with the lead. Wagner back to 2nd. Noaker in 3rd. Can you believe what we just saw?
3 wide coming down the hill to turn 6. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. And on the last lap of the race, you can't ask for anything better. Here comes Noaker on Wagner once again.
MX5 Cup, we know drama. Michael Carter waits till turn number 5 to throw his hat in the ring. He's got 3 corners left to go. Noaker gets around Wagner. Wagner was perfect for 27 laps, but he's not going to have enough. He's not going to be there at the end. Michael Carter into 13, out of 13. Carter wins here at Mid-Ohio. Noaker in 2nd. Wagner completes a dream weekend going P1, 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 and P3. Wow, that was an epic battle for the last lap.
And the run to 4th comes to the line. Doesn't look like there's going to be any changes as Robert Stout holds off a challenge from Jared Thomas, Celine Roland, Todd Lamb, Matt Dirks, Luke Oxner, and Justin Piscatel, your top 10, as they put on a great show all race long.
Willikers. My goodness, I'll tell you what, they made up for lost time in the first race today. Michael Carter, Robert Noaker, and Gresham Wagner were 3 wide in every sense of the word coming out of turn 5, setting up for that right-hander in turn number 6. I've been calling MX5 Cup racing since 2017, John, and I've never seen a moment like that.
Exactly right. In fact, they came together. There was a little body rub going on between those 3 as Noaker just stuffed it down to the inside at the exit of turn 5.
It was
tried to go make it 3 wide through 6 and couldn't quite pull it off.
It was like a Britney Spears music video. There was a lot of body rubbing going on in that one, but that's where they were right there. Michael Carter with a phenomenal move. Gresham Wagner and Robert Noaker, they all kept it clean. They respected each other as much as you can.
Yep.
That is an MX5 Cup moment for the ages. Carter's your winner. Noaker 2nd. Wagner will complete the podium. Stout 4th. Thomas 5th. Roland 6th. Lamb 7th. Dirks and Oxner bring it home 8th and 9th. And Piscatel's your top 10. Mr. Phippen, I wish we had another race to go.
You bet.
I've got to get down to victory lane. As always, a pleasure. Thanks for letting us hang out.
All right, not a problem. Great to have you with us, Tony, once again, as Tony's going to make his way into the MX5 paddock for the podium celebrations. And we will get set up for the feature event of the weekend, or of the day at least, the first of 2 Honda Indy 200s at Mid-Ohio, coming up in just about an hour's time, as we're going to kick off pre-race festivities at about 4:15, a little after. So we'll keep it right here for another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to make my way down to the head of the grid and MC the opening ceremonies to get this first race of the weekend underway for the NTT Indy cars. But congratulations to Michael Carter with a brilliant last lap pass. Robert Noaker coming through as well, as Gresham Wagner, after leading every lap of this morning's race, led every lap of this race except the last one, as he had to come home in 3rd spot. But still, that's a great way for him to continue to close that points lead, as Gresham hasn't had great success the last 3 rounds. But coming home with that win today is going to revitalize his season as we get into the second half of the Global MX5 Cup season, starting the next 2 rounds here at Mid-Ohio once again, as these teams in 2 weeks' time will be right back here with IMSA. Then they go to New Jersey Motorsports Park, rounding out their season at St. Petersburg on the street course. Should be fun, as this points battle closes up even more, as Robert Noaker, Celine Roland, Michael Carter came into this race as the top 3 in points, and that battle is going to get even closer as we continue our way through the second half of the Global MX5 Cup season.